first of all, before we delve deeper into gender-based violence against minors, your quick thoughts. Betty.
Well, any act of sexual violence is one of the types of violences that we live with the survivor for as long as they live. The repercussions, the impact, the outcome, the effect live with that person for as long as they live. Even just a mere threat of a potential sexual violence is just as bad as the actual violation itself. Now, the latest occurrences of violation of children in school, which is supposed to be one of the safest spaces of children in this country, is actually a worrying trend. And even more worrying is the fact that we are seeing school administrations trying to cover up. And this school administration, most of them are even women. Principal is a woman. Most teachers are actually women. And the question begs then that when a parent entrusts their child in the hands of a teacher in school, are they really safe? Are they going to get an education the right way? Or is school space becoming a place where we need to now put under the microscope? So for me, I think mine is to condemn any acts of sexual violations that are reported, and many others that are actually not yet reported and are happening in schools around this country, and call upon the seers for education to come in with the microscope and look at this issue school by school, day by day, and come up with lasting solutions for us as Kenyans to regain our confidence in the safety of the school space for our children.
Florence.
What has happened at Moi Girls, Huruma Girls, there's also the school in Nanyuki. I've also had in Suba County, Honorable Millie Odhiambo has just stated something happened there over the weekend. Just confirms some of research that Equality Now did last year in schools and captured the voices of children in our schools and what they go through in our schools. And for me and for Equality Now, our focus now is looking at how then do we ensure that we protect our children from sexual violence, especially in spaces where they're supposed to be safe. In school, a child is supposed to be safe. At home, a child is supposed to be safe. And for us, we look at sexual violence holistically. Child marriage is sexual violence. And sexual violence, in the case of child marriage, happens at home when the father receives mahari and there's a party and a child is married off. That is a child being raped every day of her life in the banner of child marriage. Now, in school, we have perpetrators who are teachers. And then we find that most teachers then, head teachers, want to cover up because they want to save the name of the school. Where is the interest of the child in this matter? And for us, the key thing is the best interest of the child needs to take place. There's no time for saying, is it really true? A child has said they've been raped. Take that first. Stop asking, where was she? Why did she go fetching water at this particular time? Where are you as an adult trying to protect this child?
Okay, Rosalind Mukabana.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me once again. For me, it is very sad that we can actually find that a hospital can actually be complacent in terms of trying to cover up. And this is what we are trying to ensure, that in our county, all our public hospitals and private hospitals should be able to offer services for sexual gender-based survivors. But the worst part of it is, how safe are our children? The other day we were talking about rape of patients in Kenyatta National Hospital. These are the same places which are supposed to be safe that we are ensuring that are also not safe. So we need to exactly look at what do we do. Is the school capacity built well to be able to handle issues of sexual violence? We've been told that it was not until 5 hours that this girl had to be rushed to hospital. Between 5 hours, from the time that it occurred to the time that this girl was going to hospital. What is the repercussion? We are looking at a case of a girl who is going to undergo a lot of psychosocial and psychological trauma, which can be a lifetime. So where do we come in? We have issues of mental health that are going to be needed to be followed up. Are we ready? Do we have the capacity?
She may just refuse to get married. She may just end up hating the opposite sex.
Or in other words, sometimes you find that survivors of sexual violence, they end up living in a situation whereby they are compromised and issues of sexual relationships become very difficult for them to handle. So we need to be very, very, very careful. Yeah.
Mohammed.
Thank you for inviting me here. I think it's very shocking to have this story, especially right now what's going on in our country. Children are one of the most vulnerable people in our society by virtue of their age and how we handle them. And they have only two major homes. That's their main home and the schools. And if we don't if they are not protected in that place, they are always at risk. So we are not letting down this issue to go on and on again. So as we are trying our way out, how we can help them by any means to bring these culprits on board, bring them to book, and maybe we can do through joint efforts, not only one, through sensitization of the whole community in our country.
Now, I will want general feedback from you, starting with Betty. Sexual violence against minors is a serious violation of child's right, according to the November 2008 Rio de Janeiro conference report, which was convened by the United Nations. And it's a global reality. We have to come into terms with it. It's a phenomenon that happens across the globe. And it takes the form of sexual abuse, harassment, rape, sexual exploitation in prostitution, and also in pornography. It happens in homes, in institutions, schools, and places of work. Therefore, tell us the short-term solution, the long-term solution of the physical, psychological, and the social consequences of sexual violence against minors.
First of all, the physical consequences could be the physical injury and trauma to their bodies, to their bodies, to their sexual organs, and general, the body, because some end up being beaten, some end up being even murdered. And another outcome can also be death in itself, following the injuries or following trauma that comes with that particular act. Now, remember, a child is a child. This is a person who perhaps does not even understand what is this that is being done to me. And the younger the child is, the more difficult and more vigilant that adults around that child need to be able to notice that there's something not right with this particular child, because they can't say what it is that has gone on wrong with them. But more importantly would be the psychological trauma and effects that this child can carry for the rest of their lives if it is not handled well. Remember, in our context, in most cases, the perpetrator is actually known to the child. We have, in our African setup, we have scenarios where we take on like relatives who come and live in with us, to take care of our children, or they're coming to Tarmac, look for a job, but they're in our houses. And we have small little children or small girls. I know myself of so many cases that I'm dealing with currently. And this was an older cousin who came from Ushago to live with us, and our parents brought them in. There's already a relationship with this person. And so how does this child raise up this issue to my mother, to my father? They fear, and you find that this particular act happens right here. So a child grows up very confused, wondering what was that happened to me, starting to withdraw, starting to fear people, starting not even to go to school. And that is a child that even if you take her to school, or even him for that matter, to school, they're going to sit there, the teacher is going to teach, but nothing will move. And except this psychological part is actually handled the right way and professionally, we are looking at a cohort of young people who are growing up with bitterness, who are growing up disillusioned, who are growing up with a lot of rage inside. And these are the people who at some point, because no one then will start understanding them, they would be likely candidates for things like suicide. They'll be likely candidates or easy target for other things, for other crimes in society.
Okay.
For me, I think the cost to us as a nation is quite high when we don't protect our children. She's just enumerated the issue of psychological help. When we have mental illness, it's not like you've broken an arm, where after staying with a cast for several weeks, the arm will be okay. Mental health and sexual violence go hand in hand. We spoke to a girl in one of the schools last year when we did a conversation with children in 25 schools in Africa, in 6 African countries, and Kenya included. And one of the children asked us, My father raped me from when I was 6 to up to when I was 9. And the girl was 16. And she says, now that I'm old, can I kill my father? So imagine this child was raped from that period. She left the home because the mother now ran away after she realized the husband is doing this to their child. But this child, because she never got mental help or psychological help, all she's thinking about, when I grow up, I will kill my father. And she will find enemies. And this child was from a well-to-do family in a well-to-do school. You know those group of schools? Yeah. Yes, in this Nairobi of ours. So if these children are growing up thinking, you know what, I'm going to, one day when I grow up, I am going to kill my dad. That's the kind of effect. But even then, it costs us more because can you imagine doing, when you do psychology, it means that then you will be going for sessions every week or every other day for some of the kids for the rest of their lives. And who will figure out that cost? Who will pay for it? Will we pay it in our health institutions? We have gender violence recovery centers. My healthcare needs in terms of physical will be taken care of, psychological briefly. But as the case goes on, assuming the perpetrator is caught, and after his release, after the guy is jailed, what happens to the victim after the case is over? So yes, the perpetrator is in court, is in jail. Then this child, so we assume it has been, she's been okay now that the guy is in jail, yet it needs to cost us more to make sure that her mental health is okay. And I'll just give you some of these cards. You can use them and look at what kids are asking. And you see how this is really, really messing up our children.
Okay. Rosalind, as I come to you, and we are being directed that we are running short of time as we head to the last couple of minutes of the program together with Mohammed. Just give us an assessment of the question that I earlier posed to Betty and Florence on the psychological, physical, and social consequence of these sexual abuses, harassment, rape, sexual exploitation, prostitution, and pornography.
I'm actually looking at the issue of the access to legal justice. Somebody goes to report to the police. When they report there, they're told again, go back. And this is also something that I'm bringing in terms of requesting our IG to just be able to give us a separate unit to be able to handle issues of gender. Because the challenge here is the long duration that people will keep on going to court, come back, go to court once here and there. People give up. And what happens? There is no access to justice. And then after that, I'm talking about reintegration back to the community. Remember, this girl or this boy lives in a community. How is the community looked at? How is this girl going to be reintegrated back to the community? Everybody looks at you and assumes this is the girl who underwent the rape. Like even the current case, we need to get safe spaces for these people so that they are able to be taken care of well.
Okay, Mohammed, quick thoughts.
Just to add on that, maybe you can also look at this side of see how time is he going to lose the school, stigma in the society, the stress he's undergoing, that person, and maybe school dropout. Maybe some of them, because of the stigma in the society, this lady will drop out of the school and live some other different life. So it's very disgusting that somebody will not cope up, or it can take longer time for her to be rehabilitated. It will be costly to us and to the country and to everybody.